All right. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dante Flood, Executive Administrator and Membership Coordinator with COMTO National. We want to thank you all for participating on COMTO Small Business Best Practices webinar series hosted by the COMTO National Hub Subcommittee this afternoon. Today, we will be talking about essential leadership and personal skills to grow your business, presented by AECOM's Small Business Supplier Diversity Program. We will begin with a few housekeeping rules. Please mute your audio or phone when not speaking. If you are experiencing any technical difficulties, please send a chat message to COMTO National, myself. To submit questions for the Q&A portion of the call, please send a chat message to everyone at any time during the call. This call is being recorded and will be made available on the COMTO website. And again, thank you so much for joining. I would like to take this opportunity now to pass it over to the President and CEO, Mr. Bradley Mims, to give a few remarks.
Okay, thank you so much, Dante. And I'd like to welcome all of you to the COMTO webinar series. Again, essential leadership and personal skills to grow your business, hosted by COMTO's Hub Subcommittee and sponsored by our industry partner, AECOM. We'd like to thank our presenters today. Mr. Sean Ralston, he's with AECOM Small Business Program, and he's Small Business Program Manager and National Governments. And then we have Doreen Tavares with AECOM as well, Director of Diversity Programs at New York Metro. And again, we'd like to thank the co-chairs of the Hub Subcommittee, my board member, Ms. Gwendolyn Gray, and Sandy Michael McDonald, all of the members of the Hub Subcommittee. COMTO is committed to supporting historically underutilized businesses, and if you are a Hub member on this call, we thank you for joining us. If you're a small business owner thinking about joining COMTO, I encourage you to join and learn more about us. And I will turn it back over to Dante. Thank you for all your hard work on this, to put this together, Dante.
No problem. Thank you so much, Mr. Mims, for that wonderful introduction. Before I proceed, I would like to ask if everyone could please, again, mute your audio on your phone and computer, and to also mute your camera so we can focus on the presenters as they are giving their presentation. Please and thank you. And at this point in time, I would love to hand it over to Mr. Sean Ralston to get us started. Thank you, Sean.
Great, thanks, Dante. So these topics, I guess, they seem like things that people know, right? They're kind of basic, common sense, but you'd be surprised at how often people forget these things when they're approaching, a new company or a new client. So it's just sort of good to kind of go through and have a discussion and kind of touch on these just to kind of remind everyone the right way to do it versus the wrong way. So let's start off with communications. So communications can take many forms, obviously. We have in-person, telephonic, email, and when I do say in-person, I also am talking about things like the webinars that are very common nowadays. So there are certain things that you should be doing and certain things that you shouldn't be doing. Keep in mind that your communication is a direct reflection on your firm, right? So you're approaching a client that may not know your work, but they're interpreting you and how you're representing your firm. So really, really important to start off by being professional. So you want to have the right body language. You want to be present. That's again, it sounds like common sense, but you would be surprised. We've all gone to small business conferences or industry events, and people are there, and you just kind of have to scratch your head, like, you're a professional, you're representing your company. What are you doing? So, just kind of keep this in mind. With all of the events going virtual nowadays, it's something that you want to keep in mind even when you're on camera on the computer. So to start off with, you always want to be on time, right? That again goes without saying, but being late, being late for a call, being late for an in-person meeting, that's really your first impression a lot of times. So it's something that you want to avoid. You want to be prompt. You want to be, a few minutes early. You want to be an active listener. I can't tell you the number of times I've been talking with a small business and they've been multitasking, right? So what does that tell your listener, the person you're engaging with, if you can't even, dedicate the time that you're spending in front of them to listening to what they have to say? So be an active listener, be engaged. Don't read emails during meetings. You want to make eye contact with the person you're speaking with. You certainly don't want to watch the clock. That's kind of the worst thing you can do. Someone's, giving you, the best way to engage their company and how to work with them, and you're looking at your watch, or your phone, and you're thinking you're already on to your next event, or the next person you're going to talk to. So you really want to take the time that someone's giving to you to really engage them, even if you feel like you've heard it 100 times, and it's your opportunity to make an impression, to gather information, so you want to take advantage of it, right? So also be courteous and good table manners. And a lot of these events that there is a lunch involved, you certainly don't want to be the person at the table that is eating and talking with your mouth full and reaching over people. And so, again, those things are common sense, things that you probably do all the time, but it's certainly important when you're engaging on a professional level to do all these things and to really take advantage and represent you and your firm to the best that you can. So you also want to be effective in your communication, right? So when you're talking with somebody, it's going to probably be a short amount of time. So you need to know your elevator pitch. So you say, what's an elevator pitch? So, think of it. You have the time from you get on the elevator to the time that you get off at your floor. You have maybe about 2 minutes. So you need to really provide a good summary of who you are, what your position is, what you do at your firm, what your firm does, where they're located, the client portfolio. You need to be able to kind of summarize that quickly. You certainly don't want to, drag on or kind of go on tangents. You want to kind of hit all the highlights quickly. And then if there are areas that the person that you're engaging with wants to ask more about, let them ask the questions, and then you can, dive deeper into it. But, have that elevator pitch down. Be able to do it 2 minutes, practice. Before you go to an event or before you engage, practice it. Can you do that effectively? Certainly is very important, especially, again, when you're making a first impression. So the other thing is cold calling or warm calling. And warm calling is essentially just, you have a meeting scheduled or someone has referred you, to somebody to speak with them. But, be prepared for the conversation. I can't tell you the number of times I've had, people call me and, start kind of rambling, and, I just at some point you have to say, well, what was the purpose? Why did you call me? I'm here to help you, but you need to tell me why you're calling. So, do your research ahead of time, be prepared. You may not get a person, right? So you need to have that quick summary to be able to leave a message, right? When you leave your message, you speak slowly, you avoid, kind of, cutting to the chase too quickly. You very slowly pronounce your name, the digits of your phone number, your return call. Be courteous, obviously. And also, if someone calls you back and you're not in a good place, don't be afraid to reschedule. If you're in a store or in a bar and someone calls you back, that's not the time to try to take a business call, right? Or if you're in a place that's very windy, we've all been on those calls where the only thing that you can hear is the wind when someone speaks. So, be in a place to conduct business, to take the phone call, and if not, reschedule, right? Everybody understands, everybody's, trying to do things, and sometimes you're just not at a place where you can take a call. So just something to keep in mind. But certainly, always be courteous whenever you're either, reaching out to somebody or leaving a message, definitely be courteous. So email. This is one of my favorite topics, right? So email is now our primary tool of communication. Everybody gets so many emails, but there's a way to do it the right way, and there's a way to do it the wrong way. So, you know, in your emails, you want to use a proper greeting, you know, a proper closing. You know, use proper grammar, right? So, you know, stay away from, you know, spammed email, right? So I get spammed all the time where I look at it and I said, you know, a person didn't send this to me. I know a person didn't send this to me. So, you know, when you email somebody, make it personal, right? You know, make sure your spelling is perfect. Use spell check. Proofread, read it through a couple times. You certainly don't want to, again, you're making an impression on somebody. They're reading your email and they certainly, you know, you don't want there to be typos in it. You know, be responsive. If somebody does email you back, then, you know, be responsive, be prompt. Don't wait a week or 2 weeks to respond. People take vacations, people go places. It's totally understandable. Use your out of office if you're going to be away from the office and unable to respond. One thing that you definitely want to keep in mind is, you know, sometimes you can get very emotional about things. Maybe someone's not returning your email or not providing you the information that you wanted. You want to never send an email when you're stressed or when you're angry, right? We've all, you know, kind of gotten that email where you immediately want to respond. Sometimes the best thing to do is to, you know, take a few hours, maybe take a half a day, just give it some thought, you know, kind of cool off, and then respond, because you certainly don't want that angry email to kind of, you know, be labeled, you know, you're the angry email person. So, you know, give some thought to what you want to say, you know, cool down, and then send the email. And the last thing is, you know, on your signature block, you know, make sure all your information's there. You know, hopefully you have a, you know, company email. That's obviously best. We do get emails, and, you know, companies we work with that have the Google email accounts or the Yahoo email accounts or AOL. But, you know, create a signature block that is professional, that has your name, your title, your company name, telephone number. You know, that's information. I get an email, and sometimes I return a call. You know, I get the email, I say, all right, let me just pick up the phone and call this person. I need that information there to do that. So again, these things seem like very basic things, but you would be surprised at how often we see companies not doing it. And these can make a huge difference. You know, if I can't figure out how to get a hold of you, or you don't return my email, you may miss out on a subcontracting opportunity, or an opportunity to talk to a program manager that I want to, you know, schedule for you. So really, really important that you know, be considerate, you know, take your time, think about things, be professional in your communications with clients or potential clients. So I don't know, Doreen, did you have anything that jumped out here for you? Because I know this is, you know, we both talk with quite a few small businesses, and we certainly see things being done right and things being done wrong.
Yes, and I do want to sort of piggyback on the point of email. You know, similar to the cold calls or warm calls and elevator pitch, the email is your first point of entry to begin a dialogue with a potential client. As you can imagine, you know, we receive dozens of introductory emails on a weekly basis. And I certainly know that one of the eye catchers for me not only contains the company name in the subject line, but it also contains maybe the title of the services and their MW or SCBOB, excuse me, or SDVOB designation within that subject line. So they may say, you know, Doreen's Consulting, Architectural Services, MWBE firm. Those, you know, that's a real help for us as we're going through those constant influx of emails that are coming in of companies seeking opportunities. You know, it makes it quicker for us to sort of read the subject line and get a sense of who this potential company might be. And those emails should focus on your core areas of expertise as well. That is a huge help when we're reviewing who you are and what your company can offer.
Yeah, no, those are great points. You know, help us help you, right? You know, cut to the chase. Give us the information we need to be able to help you talk to the right people and hopefully land some work with us. So no, that was great. So we'll go to the next slide now. All right, so communications, branding materials. So this is a really good one, because this is I see a lot of mistakes being made in this area, unnecessary mistakes in a lot of cases. So you know, when we talk about, you know, branding material, we're talking about websites, we're talking about your slick sheets, your marketing material, social media. But we'll start off with the website. So, you know, when I get an email from a firm that wants to work with us, you know, I do take a look. If there's an attachment, I usually look at it. But usually the first thing I do after that, though, is I'll go right to the website. You know, I want to see what kind of firm, you know, you are, who your clients are, you know, what kind of work you've done in the past. And if that information isn't there, then you know, I really don't have everything I need to help you, right? So you want to have a website that's going to provide the information, kind of the basic information. You don't have to put every project that you've ever been a part of, or, you know, every client you've ever worked with. I mean, you know, if you don't have a lot, then obviously you do want to put that. But if it's an extensive list, you know, you may not want to, you know, have an eye chart on the, you know, on your website, but you want to have your relevant information. You want it to be easily navigated, right? So you know, we do a lot of work with architecture and engineering firms, and I mean, I can usually spot an architecture website right off the bat, right? It's very, you know, it's very artistic. It's sometimes I'm not even sure how to navigate it. So, but it's beautiful usually, without a doubt. They're usually beautiful websites, but you know, I sometimes struggle to figure out, all right, so who are these clients? Who, you know, what kind of work has this firm done? Because, you know, the website is so focused on being artistic that it's not conveying the information, right? So, you know, back in the day, I mean, I think they still have them, but the yellow pages, right? You know, you have your kind of ads on the yellow pages, and it's, you know, pretty clear what kind of, you know, work you do by that ad. So, you know, your website is your kind of your yellow pages ad, right? So if people can't find the information to understand what your firm does or who your firm works with, then it's not doing its job, right? You know, you want it well organized. You know, avoid the heavy graphics. We certainly don't want to be sitting there waiting for it to load up. Many people are visiting websites while they're at conferences, so they're on their phone, you know, trying to take a look at a firm's website. And if you have such heavy graphics that it has difficulty loading, then again, it's not doing its job, right? So you want to think, when you're building your website, when you're designing it, you want to think, all right, I'm a potential client. What am I looking for? And how can I make it easy for that client to find what they're looking for? You know, you want your services, you want your previous clients. You can have a page of past projects. You certainly want your contact information there. You know, so if I have to go and search and look at the bottom of the page to find your contact information, your website's not doing its job. So again, just, you know, kind of keep that in mind when you're designing your website, because that's a lot of times the first thing people go to. I mean, you know, large businesses, we have our databases, right? Everybody has a database. The federal government has a database. State governments have databases. But you know, that information tends to be limited. So they're going to immediately, after they read through that, they're going to go to the website. And if, again, your website isn't there, or I go to your website and there's a you know, page not found, you know, then that's not helping you. It's not doing its job. So kind of keep that in mind. The website is a really key element, I think, of communicating what your firm does, who your firm serves, that it's really important to make sure that's done well. So the next thing I'll do is business cards. So everybody's got them, right? Everybody's got business cards. You hand them out and you get stacks of them. You go to these events and you get stacks of them. Your business card is an opportunity for you to express your business, what you do, who you do it for. You know, you want it to be memorable, right? You want it to have the basic information, but there is opportunities to include additional information. I've seen, you know, things that I've seen being very effective is that, you know, a lot of times they'll use the back of the business card to put information about their capabilities, whether it's NAICS codes or where their offices are located, but really maximize that opportunity. Someone's getting you a business card, they're looking at it, and you want it to be memorable, so that when they're kind of flipping through the business cards at the end of the day, they say, okay, remember this firm, let me put this card aside. If you're not doing that, if it's just, again, the basic information where you look at it, you're like, I don't remember what this firm does, then you're really missing an opportunity. Okay, so business cards, we all have them. We should always have them at all times, because again, you just never know when you'll run across somebody that will be a great connection that you want to make sure that you follow up with. So have them at all times. Maximize their use. I think that's always a good policy. So on to marketing materials, right? So just like the website, you want your marketing materials to be succinct, right? You want to have a one-pager, and then have an alternate, maybe 3 or 4 pager. I have been given documents that are 25, 30 pages long. I'm not going to have the time to go through that, right? So I am a small business program manager, small business liaison officer. I'm looking for the basics, right? And you give me 25 pages, and I just I'm going to go through a few of them, but I don't know if I'm going to go through them all, because I got another business coming up trying to talk to me. So have both documents. Have your one-pager or 2-pager possibly, but then have your longer material for when you do get to that technical person that does want to know in depth about what your projects have entailed. So again, you want to highlight your relevant capabilities on that, your qualifications, your past clients, your successes, if you've received awards, or if you've been named to the fastest growing lists. That's your chance to kind of use those those accolades to catch a reviewer's attention, right? So you include those. Again, make it readable, very much like the website. Make it readable, make the information easy to find. You don't want it, so heavy on graphics that it takes away from the information that you're trying to convey. You want all the relative information there and easy to identify. So, and again, I've seen ones done right, where I pick it up and I can scan it, and within 20 to 30 seconds, I know this firm. I know exactly who this firm should be talking to at AECOM. I know who they probably know. I know what markets they're in. I know, what clients they're targeting. It's, versus a document where I'm kind of reading through it saying, okay, I still don't really understand what this firm does. Great that they're world class. Great that they, can do anything I need them to do, but what do they really do? So, really have a good, succinct marketing material that you're able to give out that, quickly conveys what your company does and what your company does well. So social media. So this one is one that I think a lot of people get in trouble with, right? They, the social media, it's that, I talked about kind of having a cooling off period with emails. I think social media is probably another one of those things where you sometimes people need a cooling off period. You see something and you want to respond, and sometimes it's better to just give some thought, right? And is there a difference between your professional account and your personal account? To me, no, not really, right? So I mean, if your name's on it, then that's you. You're out there. You're making comments. You're retweeting things or what have you. So when you're on social media, you want to think about being professional. You want to think, okay, what would happen if my client saw what I had written here? Would they be okay with that? Would they hire me again? So again, it's sometimes people kind of lose track of the fact that that is going to be visible to everybody, and it's permanent, right? It's out there forever. You make one comment that in the heat of the moment, and it's out there forever. So again, you be very careful with it. Think professionally when using it. Think, would it be okay for my client to see me, posting this or responding to in this way before you do so? Because again, it's permanent, and it could really have a big impact on whether somebody wants to work with you or whether they don't. And again, social media is kind of the everything right now. So certainly one you want to give some real thought to, and you know, have a presence. Definitely have a presence, because so much goes on now with social media, but do it in a responsible, professional way. So I don't know, Doreen, was anything there that kind of rang true for you, or anything that really stuck out?
Actually, I'm taking some of those points that you have there and putting them on my slides.
So yeah, so this is, I mean, really, it's about, you know, it's about your firm and branding you, and it's your professional brand, it's your firm's professional brand, and you know, you always want to, you know, do things with intent, right? You know, you want to represent your firm and make sure it's, you know, you're conveying the right message to your clients, even when you think your clients aren't paying attention, they could be. So again, something to kind of keep in mind as you go through things. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Doreen at this time.
Okay, next slide. Okay. Well, first I'd like to thank COMTO for inviting us to be a part of this. We have a relationship with COMTO and long-standing support of the small business community, so it's an honor for us to be involved, and thanks to my colleague Sean for also joining us here today and sharing all of that great and valuable information. I'm going to present 2 slides coming up, and as Sean has stated, some of these things are may seem as sort of basic common knowledge, but we feel it's important to sort of reiterate how valuable some of these key tips are, and how they can help a business. So Sean touched a bit on maximizing client events and being present and engaging and paying attention. And just going back to one of the key items he referenced, which were the business cards from the previous slide, you know, similar experience where I received business cards at events where one side may have the standard contact information and the other side will have a listing of the company's services. That is a huge help. If not, they may leave space. I've seen business cards reduce the number of graphics and leave space for you to actually be able to write notes as you're interacting with the person at the other side of the table, or the, you know, right in front of you at an event. And it really allows individuals to take those business cards back and, you know, review the information, understand who you spoke with, what you spoke with them about. It's a huge help. You know, the follow-up on your marketing materials that you hand out. Once the event is over, pretty much most companies or most representatives of companies are leaving with a stack of business cards, or leaving with a stack of materials, and it takes time to go over that information that was just received. So follow up with the person that you spoke with. Send them an electronic copy of that marketing material that you left at the table with them. That is, I think, a wonderful tool in order to have representatives such as myself and Sean be able to share that marketing material with our colleagues. You know, we can go back and say, hey, I met this great company at an event last week. I think they're really going to help, you know, could potentially help you on a project. Let me forward you their information, just, you know, as a quick review of what they can probably offer. So utilize the time that you take to sign up and register for an event and actually go and make the biggest impact on it. The next item is not winning work, and why not? Well, there's a variety of reasons on what might happen, but we have some tips on how to increase and prioritize your efforts and your client focus for winning that work. One of the key items I want to reference is keeping your existing clients abreast of updates and changes in your company. send them newsletters of expansion and services that you offer. If you have significant new hires, if you bring someone on board who has a strong expertise in a particular area, or they were previously employed by a mutual client, you know, let's say you hired someone that came from Department of Transportation, and you know that the client you work with, an AECOM, for example, does a lot of work with Department of Transportation. As long as there's no conflict of interest, that can be a great resource. It can be a great tool for you to market yourself to the prime vendors and say, hey, we not only have the experience you're looking for, but we understand the end user very well, and we understand sort of the intricacies of the organization, and my team can help you with that. Another key item that I can't stress enough is you have an existing client, you may have a long-term relationship, touch base with your contacts at that organization to ensure that the performance that you're providing is satisfactory. We receive phone calls from sub-consultants that we utilize that are seeking work constantly, and that's great, as you should. You have to market your business, but they don't do sort of a quality assurance to make sure that the services that they're providing are consistently satisfactory, so that we can continue to use you, so that we can continue to invite you to be a part of our team. It's really sort of ties into the title of this webinar, which is the leadership. You know, you need to make sure that whether it's yourself, that you're a small business, you're one person, you're providing a service, or whether you have a full staff, that your staff are carrying the level of commitment that you express and that you promote as your organization. So that is really a key factor. When you're reaching out to new firms, ensure that your services and that your project experience aligns with those of prospective clients. A few bullets down, it references research multiple times. Research is important. It is the best way to demonstrate that you know exactly why you're reaching out to that new potential client, and how you can certainly work with them closely. Maximizing, market your strengths. You're a small business, of course, you can't do everything. I think even large organizations can't do everything. No one can. So you have to focus on what you do best, of course, and use that in building the relationship. You know, demonstrate, take those marketing materials that was on the previous slide. Make sure those marketing materials have key experience and key services that will align with the prospective client. And as I mentioned, keeping the existing relationships, keeping the clients abreast of any changes, use that as a strength. Develop new marketing material or revise new marketing material when needed, so that everyone understands your full capabilities. Sean, any?
Yeah, so you know, the one thing I like to throw out around the research is a lot of times, I mean, you obviously as a business have your own website, but we have a website too, right? You know, have you looked at our website? Have you looked at our press releases? Have you looked at our service offerings, our capabilities? You know, a lot of times, you know, we put out a press release. We're awarded a big contract. We put out a press release on it. We like to celebrate our successes, right? So there's a lot of information on, you know, on our website, on large business websites, on agency websites. You know, a lot of agencies have, you know, small business offices, or OSDBU for federal government. And there's a lot of good information on there. I've seen it where they've actually listed contract holders. You know, so what better, you know, targeted list can you get than, you know, people that are working with the client that you're targeting, that have contracts that are large, that there are opportunities on. So I think there's, you know, there's a lot of information out there, right? There's a ton. I mean, you can Google, you can, you know, there again, there are news stories that talk about, you know, firms winning this work, or, you know, supporting this client. So, you know, do your research, educate yourself. You know, that will allow you to be more effective in who you target. And again, when you reach out to, say, an AECOM or another large business, know about their firm. You know, I mean, I go to small business events and someone walks up and says, tell me what AECOM does. I'm like, I can do that, but you really should already know. You know, like if you're coming and you're targeting us for potential, you know, work, you should have an idea of what we do. And even better that, how you fit into what we do. So again, it's just, you know, being prepared, it's being effective in your communication. But yeah, that's something that I see businesses, small businesses make those mistakes quite often, right? They're just not, you know, not thinking about what can I do to prepare myself to engage this business effectively.
Yeah, thank you. Next slide. So pursuing work, working with your partners. So you've established a relationship, you have a foot in the door, or this is a long-standing relationship and you're always seeking to expand opportunities. When you're working with a client and pursuing work, you really have to be responsive. Answer the email when requests are received in a timely manner. The entire project team is working on deadline. When you're pursuing work, you're subject to a RFP submission date. And there's a lot that goes into putting together that RFP package, or an RFP, request for proposal, or RFQ, request for qualifications, multiple forms that need to be submitted. And we really seek support of the small businesses to submit the information that's needed in a timely manner so that it doesn't jeopardize the entire team's opportunity to submit that proposal or submit that package of qualifications to the client or potential client. If there are difficulties with, you know, I'd say probably 90% or so of our client base are government organizations that do tend to require more paperwork than maybe some private sector. And so if you're working with a project team and the project team, the marketing group says, here is a list of 10 documents we need you to complete and get it to us by X date. You know, if you're not familiar with those documents, please reach back out to your point of contact and ask them for assistance. You know, don't be afraid to say, I don't have experience in completing this and I can use your support. Or do you have a template from a previous submission that I can use as a guideline? I think that goes much further than sending back information that is inaccurate and is delayed and can jeopardize the entire team on that particular pursuit. Working as a team, of course, be a team player, volunteer, collaborate, relationships. When we're pursuing projects, there are occasions where we may ask a sub-consultant or all of our sub-consultants to come to the interview with us and be a part of the project, be a part of the interview with the client. That is a great opportunity, but you have to be prepared for the interview. You have to know the scope of the project in and out, especially as it pertains to your portion of the work. You should have a great understanding of the client as well, and attend any preliminary sort of in-house meetings prior to arriving to the client's office. So if we're doing, you know, prep for presentation, someone is not on mute. So if you're invited to be a part of that presentation team, please come to the practice sessions, practice with us, and again, know the RFP. That is a huge plus. It's a huge bonus, not only for us, but even for yourself as a business, as a small business. Expanding work and growing your business, of course. Build on what you've done, leverage your success, going back to those materials, those handout materials. Ensure that you're building on what you've already achieved. List your project experience. List the clients that you've worked with. List certainly any wonderful ratings you've received for the project. It really helps us to connect with you, and it helps us to include that material in our proposal package when we're submitting to a client. A client wants to see that not only the prime has experience with them and an understanding of the type of work and the project that they're pursuing, but they want to see that the sub-consultants have that experience as well. So utilize that that success, leverage that success that you've already had. Understand your drivers and knowing what the clients buy, potential client relationships, not just your technical skills. As Sean mentioned with the website, go into the company website, whether it's AECOM, whether it's another firm, and really understand who they work with and where sort of they want to go in what direction. Certainly if it aligns with your company, you want to take full advantage of that and work with them to enhance their relationships. I can give you an example in the New York market sector. When attending events, I've developed a two-pager so that any small business that comes to our table will understand the typical scopes of services that we subcontract, and also a listing of our typical clients, government clients, that is, within the New York market. So we'll list Parks and Recreation, Department of Transportation, Power Authority, so that our small businesses and our sub-consultants understand who we work with, and can certainly use that leverage, use that experience as they're sending us material, as they're working with us, to really hone in and certainly see how they can further enhance their relationship. One second, sorry. AECOM and many other primes have strong marketing teams, but we're not aware of every project. And so we ask that you don't hesitate to send us information about a particular RFP and ask if we are pursuing that opportunity, so that you can be included within the sub-consultant team. We certainly look to you as a resource as well. It's not just a one-way relationship. We look for firms to work with us as a partner, not just a sub-consultant. The last two items here on this slide, I think, are probably two of the most important items that we could touch on when it comes to working with partners. But before I get into this, Sean, is there any insight on some of those first four bullets that you'd like to jump in on?
Yeah, I'll just kind of reiterate that working as a team. So I mean, when we're building a team, we're looking to add firms that add value, right? So if you don't know the client, if you don't understand the market, I mean, you're not really adding value. I mean, there's a lot of firms that do what you do, right? So what separates you? So again, kind of understanding the market, kind of doing that research, kind of knowing, who the buyers are, who has held contracts there before. I mean, these are the kinds of things that you can do to better position your firm to be added to a team, to say, hey, let's add them because they're going to be a team player, they're going to add value, and they're going to put us in a better position to win the contract. So, I know it's seems kind of, self-explanatory as far as, you want to be aware of what's going on, but, these things really do matter when people are building teams, so.
Thank you. So as I said, two items that we feel are extremely important and we wanted to bring up during this webinar are understanding your contract terms, for one, ask questions, negotiate. The contract terms, believe it or not, will play a very important role on your success as a business owner for the contract. If the terms do not work with your business model, it's important for you to speak up, and it's important for you to ask for adjustments where possible. We've had, unfortunately, some situations, not only referencing AECOM, but prior to joining AECOM, I worked for 2 government agencies here in New York City, and I saw situations where a contract, a subconsultant did not review all of the details carefully in the contract terms and didn't realize that payment terms were not conducive to their business model. They did not understand a concept of paid when paid. There was an automatic assumption that the prime, the client will pay immediately upon completion of services, and that wasn't the case. It was sort of a paid when paid model, and the small business really took a hit in not having the resources aligned in order to support those terms of the contract. So really look over it with legal representation. Look over it yourself so that you understand, and really, just don't be afraid to have that discussion with your point of contact, and go back and forth. And it has to be success all around, and not just with the technical skills, but success in how the terms are executed. If also look at your local resources that would help you with any contract terms. I gave you an example while I was at a New York City agency where the paid when paid was an issue for the sub-consultant, but tap into local resources. Here in New York City, the Department of Small Business Services understands New York City government procurement, and they really understand a lot of these payment terms with New York City government agencies. So what they do is they put together small business loan programs to help companies carry them for those sort of complex situations. So tap into your local resources and see what can help you to be successful under those contract terms that are a little, more complicated or not something you're quite used to. Being paid timely. We all, that's a big factor, whether you're owning a small business, you're employed by a company, everyone wants to be paid in a timely manner. Accurate invoices in the correct format are extremely important. When you're working with your, point of contact, if this is your first time working with a new prime, make sure your point of contact understands that, and ask them to please, share with you what is the standard protocol, what are the steps that I need to take when I have to submit my invoice, how should my invoice be formatted, is there a particular format that you prefer to use, is there a format that the client, the end user, prefers for everyone to submit their invoice. Are there templates that I can use in order to ensure that when I'm submitting the invoice, all of my I's are dotted, my T's are crossed, and there is nothing in the way of jeopardizing delay in the payment. Know your terms and understand each client's process. Again, going back to those contract terms. It's important to know when you're going to be paid. It's important to know when you're going to invoice. It's important to know when you're going to start work. Is there retainage on the contract? Some agencies, government agencies, may require a prime to pay in full when services are rendered, and so retainage is a part of that. Other government agencies may not have a clause regarding retainage, and if the prime is being held retainage by the government agency, the prime is allowed to hold retainage on the subconsultant. These are important factors for you to understand and know and prepare for throughout the contract duration. Once you get your foot in the door and you're a partner, we want to keep you as a partner. And it's not just AECOM, it's many other primes. We want to keep those relationships. They're very important to us. And so we want to make sure that everyone is working off of the same information to make the project a success. Any items from you, Sean? Any?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think read your contract, right? So, again, it's so straightforward, but you'd be surprised. People don't, they want to get the business, they sign it, and all of a sudden they don't know what they signed. So read your contract.
Yeah, and we're not in the, we want success. We want a successful partnership with all of the firms we work with, and I'm sure everyone else does as well. So that concludes our portion of our presentation. Once again, thank you to COMTO for allowing us to be a part of this, and I'll turn it over to Dante.
All right, thank you so much, Dorian, and thank you so much, Sean, for giving that wonderful presentation. I think this will be some valuable information and a great reminder for a lot of our small businesses and DBEs to take note of. Everyone, we will now begin with our Q&A. If you have any questions, please feel free to send it in the chat box to everyone. If you have a specific question for Sean or Doreen, please specify that in your question. So with that being said, if you have any questions, please feel free to send it into the chat. And in the meantime, while people are coming up with questions, I'll start one off just to get things going here. So from this presentation that you all give, what would you say are the 3 key components that everyone on this webinar should walk away from? So you all gave a lot of detail and a lot of great insight, but what are the 3 most important key factors that you think we should walk away with from this webinar?
For me, I'd say clear messaging, clear representation of what your business can offer and your experience, consistent follow-up so that you build a rapport. And once you build that rapport, it's continuous. Especially where I kind of highlighted, follow up with the client, make sure the services you're offering are satisfactory, the performance is sort of on track. And then the third is a combination of the last 2 bullet points with understanding your contract terms so that you're set up for success.
Yeah, no, I think those are, I think, obviously be professional. I kind of hammered that with my slide, but definitely be professional, be effective, right? You have limited resources. You want to use them to the best of your ability, right? You're a small business. You don't have a lot of people on staff. You want to be effective. So, and certainly do your research. That again, I can't say that enough is being informed allows you to be professional, allows you to be effective, but spend some time preparing for meetings, preparing for events, and you'll get much more out of it.
I agree. And so actually we have not a question, but someone actually commented in the chat. Her name is Jeannie Chrisman, and she said, be nice, be professional, and read your contract. And what do you guys have? What are your thoughts about that statement?
I like it. I think it's great. Again, it goes a long way, as you're interacting with people. If someone is rude or not paying attention, and it's the other person on the other side is thinking, do I want to spend my time trying to help this person? So I think being nice, being professional is certainly a good recipe for success.
Yeah, and it's a concept that you could apply to every concept in life, not just your business. If you're buying a home, be nice to your new neighbors. Be professional with your real estate agent and your attorneys. Read your contract, understand it. Similar scenario, moving into a new apartment and a lease. It's just it's a great. Very simple statement that can apply to every aspect of life.
I agree. Well, let's see here. Is there anyone else that wanted to ask any questions in the chat? Looks like we're good to go here. Well, again, Doreen and Sean, we would like to thank you on behalf of COMTO National for presenting and doing this webinar with us here today. And real quickly, I'll just go to this slide and give kudos to also the Hub subcommittee who contributed in putting this together. This slide here does show our subcommittee roster featuring Ms. Gwendolyn Gray, COMTO Board Director, and Hub Subcommittee Chair, along with Sandy Michael McDonald, Hub Subcommittee Co-Chair. All right. And then again, lastly but least, thank you so much for everyone who joined us on today's webinar. A follow-up email with a link to the recording and a post-event survey will be sent out and emailed to everyone shortly. And a schedule of COMTO's webinars can also be found on our events calendar at comtonational.org. So we do have more upcoming webinars and more Hub webinars on the way as well. So with that, actually, one second, we have one more question. Looks like Ayani asked, this is for you, Doreen. She asked, can you give an example of a small business that blew you away and followed through when they did get the opportunity to work with you? Sorry for the last minute question.
There are many small businesses that sort of blow us away on a day-to-day basis. For me, I'd say the biggest success is when we have a new firm introduced to us. They're given the opportunity to work on a project, and not only are they successful on that project, but it works so well that the project managers from other divisions start, sort of this internal marketing, and they say, hey, have you heard about this company? They work with us on Project X. You should really think about them for Project Y. So that is a huge sort of success when we could have internal cross referral of businesses that come to us.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Doreen and Ms. Ayani. I hope that answers your question. So again, thank you guys so much for joining. We really appreciate it. We look forward to continuing working alongside of AECOM as we move forward through the rest of this year and so on and so forth. So with that, I will conclude this webinar. Thank you so much for joining, Sean and Doreen. Thank you, Gwendolyn Gray, for helping coordinate this. And thank you, Brad, for giving your remarks earlier. With that, thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Take care and be safe.
Thank you again, COMTO. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Take care, everyone. Thank you.